Krásný dobrý den všem fanouškům toho nejlepšího sportu na světě. Jako pokaždé se snažíme trošku posunout tu naši tvorbu a posunout obsah pro vás diváky a fanoušky. A to se nám podařilo tentokrát obrovským způsobem. Myslím si, že je to něco, co tady ještě nebylo. A já mám velkou radost z toho, co se nám společnými silami povedlo ukázat a dokázat. Doufám, že z toho budete mít úplně stejnou radost i vy. So I'm absolutely thrilled and honored to welcome a very special guest to today's overtime special, Prague native who carved out an incredible career in professional football, play in the NFL as an offensive tackle and win a World Bowl. Will Svitek, welcome and thank you that you accept my invitation.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's definitely it's an honor to be here. I love being back in Prague and being back with my roots and especially talking football, American football.
Yeah. The roots, you already told us. You are one of the very few players with Czech roots to make it to the NFL. How much do your Prague origins mean to you, and do you have any memories that you still carry from your early age?
Kind of how we touched on earlier, I think my Czech roots kind of carried me throughout my whole life. I was born in 1982, and so kind of in the heart of communism, and my family escaped in 84 when I was 2 years old, and so my memories of living in Czechoslovakia at that point were minimal, obviously, because we're non-existent since I was so young. But when I moved to the United States, the communist past and the upbringing of Czechoslovakia, that kind of was always with me. So those are my biggest memories, just my parents telling stories about how it was in Czechoslovakia during that time. And I remember doing school reports on Prague Spring and learning. And my parents always made sure I never wasted any food in the United States because growing up in Czechoslovakia, that was not an option. So they made sure I was always grateful for everything I had and worked hard for whatever I could get because that was a difficult time. And we came to the United States with nothing, with the clothes on our back to try to achieve the American dream. And so, but my Czech roots have always been there. And it's always fun to go back every summer and kind of spend time here in Prague and in the Czech Republic and see family and whatnot.
Just before the recording, you told me that it was kind of different between you and your friends and kids in America. So how this memory fit in your...
Yeah, I just think of... I joke now, and I'm grateful for it. I just think my parents were more strict growing up. And I think that was kind of consistent with a lot of people when they were raised by parents who kind of grew up in that communist regime. Just kind of, it goes back to, we were grateful for everything we had. We never wasted anything. That was always a big thing. And sometimes I think in the United States, you can kind of be, you take things for granted and there's a lot of opportunities. So it was just little things. And my parents were very disciplined with everything. And they had to be because we came to the United States, we escaped communism. We left with the clothes on our back, couldn't tell anything, left everything behind, couldn't even tell family members when we fled to and went to Yugoslavia and then over the border to Austria where we waited until we waited to come to the United States. But they had to be very disciplined and very organized and with their approach because we had minimal resources, no money, so we were all starting out from scratch, and that kind of spilled over to the upbringing of the children. So that's kind of that was the biggest thing in the upbringing. But I think it helped me because it helped create a discipline with school, with football, and I think it helped me. Honestly, that upbringing was the reason why I was able to play in the NFL.
Yeah, that was my next question. If you think that this disciplined parents and strict maybe help you with your professional career,
I think without a doubt. Because also too, I realized by coming to the United States, my parents risked their lives. I think when they fled the country, who knows, they could have ended up in jail, or who knows what could have happened if we got caught. So that first and foremost was important to me. I didn't want to take anything for granted. I was given a lot of opportunity, but Yeah, I think, my parents were both into sports. My dad was into track and field. And so I started playing sports at a young age. But I think that the discipline and the work ethic definitely carried over into sports. Football's a kind of a tough blue collar sport. So I think you kind of have to have that mentality to be successful in it. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why I was able to be successful in football, because it was just kind of that tough, hard-nosed mentality. And so you see it now. And so I think that's the reason why I feel like the Czech Republic could be successful with football, because we kind of have that. We have that hard-nosed culture. I think, you see it in Eastern Europe, and here with kind of the Central Europe with the Czech Republic. I think we have it. So I think it's something you see with hockey. We're successful in hockey, but I think Czechs are hard-nosed. I think they love sports. But yeah.
Yeah, it's nice thing to hear. Maybe we will take it later, this topic. But I would like to ask you a question. Before establishing yourself as an offensive tackle in the NFL, at the college level, you play tight end at the Stanford and the defensive end. At what point did you realize that your future is in the trenches?
That's a good question. People always ask me that. I never really knew. I just took it day by day, because when I was in high school, I played wide receiver, a little bit of tight end. But I was basically a receiver. I was 6'6". So I don't know if that was 198 centimeters, but I was pretty skinny. But then I knew I was always concerned of what level I was at to be the best at it, and then the next level I would figure out a way to kind of transition into whatever, to find a position that I could be successful. I think when it comes to football, the most important thing is just be a good football player. I think some people get caught up in, I got to play quarterback. I want to be a receiver. I want to be a defensive lineman. I want to be an offensive lineman. I think that's kind of irrelevant. I think people just need to play football. And if you're a good football player, they'll find a position for you. They can craft something into it. So I think that's kind of. Then when I got to college, I played 2 different positions. I showed I was versatile. And then when I got to the NFL, I just got bigger. I was 300 pounds. So I don't know the conversion in kilos, but I was 6'6", 300 pounds. So I was a big guy. I was 40 pounds heavier than I am now. So I was much bigger. And so I was built like an offensive lineman. And so I think that was, it was kind of a transition. It was difficult too. It was switching from defensive end in college to switching to the offensive line in the NFL was rarely happens, and it was an uphill battle. And but I think it goes back to that mentality and that work ethic. I think it helped me do it, because most guys, it's hard enough to go to the NFL, but let alone switch a position. But I think a lot of that stems back to kind of my hard-nosed upbringing and the discipline that my parents gave me, and that work ethic. And so and then I was just a big guy. So when you're a big guy, you're in the trenches, and I love the physicality of it. That was tough. That was fun. So and so that was it. Yeah.
Is it the big dream? You always thought about, I'm going to be a football player?
Yeah. It's so hard. Like when you're younger, you don't really think it's even possible. So to be honest, I took it step by step. Like you think the NFL, the National Football League, I don't know, is it the most popular league in the world? Probably not. Maybe real soccer is after FIFA and everything. But I was always, my first goal was to go to college. You go to university. That was a big thing for me. I want to go to university and I want to get a scholarship. And so that was my first goal. And it was like, my parents couldn't afford college, and playing football was an opportunity for that. And so, and then go to a school like Stanford University, which, one of the best universities in the world. Kind of epitomized what a student athlete was, and I could be a great student, and I could play top level athletics. It was a no-brainer for me to go there. And when I got offered a scholarship to go there, it was kind of like a reward back to my parents, that like kind of their ultimate sacrifice was able to give me like the American dream of like going to one of the top universities in the world. They didn't have to pay for college. I was going to play football. And then my goal there was, okay, let's go play football. And then once I was kind of graduating, leaving Stanford, the NFL starts to scout you and recruit you. And I'm like, I might actually have a chance. And so luckily I got Kansas City drafted me, and they said, we're going to move you to offensive line. And And then my world came back to Europe, which we might touch on later. But because of the World League, if it was like I talked to my agent about it, if it wasn't for NFL Europe, I probably wouldn't have had an NFL career for 10 seasons because it gave me, back then NFL Europe was kind of like a minor league for the NFL, and it gave me a whole season to play the new position. And it gave me exposure to the rest of the league of the NFL. So it really gave me, I got drafted by the Chiefs. I played that whole rookie season. And in the offseason, they would send players to NFL Europe. And it was basically like a training grounds for NFL players. And before it was reversed, it was majority American players. And then we probably had 5 Europeans on our roster. But it was all guys who played football in college in the States. But it was more importantly, I got to play game reps, which is really important as offensive line. So I played left tackle. We won the world. I played for the Frankfurt Galaxy. We won the World League. I got voted for like the all league team at left tackle, which was good. But it was more, I got to play 11 games, which I couldn't have done that in the NFL. So it was really, really important. And then the rest of the league got to see, okay, he can play. And so it gave me the chance for the NFL.
I would like to come back a little bit to Stanford because this college is well known for good education. It was kind of part of the process that you want to go to this college.
Yeah. I was basically, I grew up in Southern California outside of Los Angeles, and I looked at all over the country, but I preferably wanted to stay on the West Coast. But I wanted to, because I didn't know if I was going to play in the NFL, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And my parents always stressed academics to me. It was always, being a good student was very important. It goes back to that. My whole family's educated. Everyone in my family has like graduate degrees, and it goes back to my upbringing. Like when I was growing up, my friends could go play at the park. I had to go home and do homework first, and like that was like I couldn't play or I couldn't do any of that. It was just like it was hard notes. So it was academics was always stressed in my family. It was always important to me, and I wanted to kind of have that balance of football and academics. And so I think you couldn't, like I said, from a place like Stanford, you couldn't turn it down because it was the best combination of elite college football and then also elite academics.
We already talked a little bit about the Hamburg Sea Devils and Frankfurt Galaxy, that are the teams that you play in NFL Europe. And these teams are today's rivals of the Prague Lions in the European League of Football and European Football Alliance now. So do you still follow this league and Prague Lions?
Yeah, so I do, yeah. So I only played for Frankfurt Galaxy, so I played in the second to the last league before the NFL Europe ended, but I played for the Frankfurt Galaxy just for one season. We played against Hamburg. It was like the Rhein Fire, Hamburg, Berlin Thunder. But yeah, so I still follow it. Now I got, once the league started coming back up, I don't know, maybe it was a couple years ago once these leagues started coming back into fruition. I love it. I love seeing it. It's kind of some of my I love, like I said, like my Czech heritage and like my Czech upbringing had such a big impact on my life, being born here. I have all my family here. It's like kind of that combination of that and seeing American football evolve. It's kind of like two of my passions, and I love to see it. So especially since I got to go back to NFL Europe and kind of help kickstart my NFL career, I think it's a good opportunity for guys. And you see kind of what sports is now. It's really evolving in the U.S. and globally. So I think there's a market for it. With American football, I think. The popularity of the NFL, and they're having more games here. I think there'll be more exposure to native Czechs and native Europeans, plus the expat communities growing here in the Czech Republic. So I think there's definitely a market. But I follow it all the time. I love to see it. I love to see American football fans. There's nothing like it. I think I've been going to the Prague Lions. I was here for a couple of weeks with my family, and the first game I think we came here on a Friday, and on Sunday we went to one of the Prague Lions games, and I brought my whole family, like my brothers, kids, and I had like 6 of my nephews came, and my brothers came, my mom came, and so there was like a big family of there. We were loving it. So it was it's fun to watch, and I think I hope the Czech fans appreciate the Prague Lions.
Yeah, we really appreciate the Prague Lions and as well the European Football Alliance, because the level is really great, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's definitely evolving. I've seen it every year. I think when the leagues first started, they're kind of going through the process. It was evolving. I think that's only natural. So I think, but it seems like there's more and more fans. I think people like even the Czechs, I think they're now starting. It's difficult to time change, but they're watching NFL, and I think that's good. And I think there'll be more NFL games coming here in the fall, and
yep.
You know, I might try to come back for some of those NFL games. Who knows? So those are really fun to watch. The NFL games are the blast, great atmosphere, and the leagues and the quality. Like it's a good product, and it's fun to see. And I think it's the experience thing. I love the whole family aspect. I can go there for a couple hours. People are yelling. You know, you grab some beers. You grab a parek. Like there's nothing better than that. You know, so it's.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I think that the very important for Czech fans is the culture, recognize and believe in this culture of American football, because it's like something else that European sports.
Yeah, I agree. Well, you see it in the United. So it's hard because in the United States, football is like football is like here, and everything else is like here. It's not even close. So I think people will only kind of start to kind of pick up on it, and I think as you start to watch it, and I think it helps too now with it seems like there's more exposure for the NFL. So now people I have a favorite team. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers, or I like the New England Patriots, or I love Tom Brady, or I love Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, and so there's you gain a connection. Or okay, I go in the summer, I'm watching the Frankfurt Galaxy and the Prague Lions play, and that was fun. So then you start to watch it, and I think there's going to be more and more exposure. I think it's important. I think things like what you guys are doing is really important, because you guys are covering like the NFL, the football, talking about it. So I think it's always one thing when you watch a random game, no matter what sport, and you don't have context of it. It's not that enjoyable. But once you start to get context of it, or people listen to you guys talk about certain teams, you're like, oh, I remember you talking about that, and I see that player here, or I'm playing fantasy football here, or I make a bet here, or oh, I remember watching that touchdown with the Prague Lions Frankfurt Galaxy game, and so it all comes together. But it's like for me, I would go to Australia. I was in Australia and I watched an Australian rules football game, and I'm like, I have no idea who these teams are. I have no idea the rules. It was like I had a good time, but I'm like, okay, that was it. There's no but everything was it was like foreign. It was like a foreign thing to me. And so I think you need to have context. And I think once you get, once that people are starting, with the exposure, which I think things that the Prague Lions are doing, that you guys are doing, with kind of what the NFL is doing, I think that's only going to help and grow.
Yeah, I believe it's very important in this kind of sport, which is completely different than anything else in Europe, and people don't understand because it's not part of their lives. Yeah,
it's an addicting sport. I think it's an experience. There's position. It's the ultimate team sport. So yeah.
When you look at the games and the culture about European Football Alliance, can you compare it with in your experience in US? And do you have any advice for team like Prague Lions and Frankfurt Galaxy and so on?
Well, I think it's still like they're kind of two different elements. I think it's still different in the element of the NFL has so much infrastructure in the development of the program. I think the key is just to keep playing, keep developing guys. I always wonder, I don't know if it's even an option. Football's the one unique thing about football is if you have the mentality, you could start playing it at a later age. Whereas if you want to be a great tennis player or a great soccer player, or basketball or any sport, you have to start playing at a young age. Football, you see this all the time. If you're a great athlete, you could start playing football when you're 16, 18, even 20 years old, even 22 years old. People play basketball in college and then they go to the NFL. It's rare, but it happens. But if you're a great athlete and you have the mentality to play football, So I think that's always an interesting thing, and I think that's an advantage American football has, is you don't need to start playing football at a young age. I know they have the development programs here, and people are playing flag football. I think that's only going to help. But I think, like, who knows if it's even an option. But if there's some great basketball players in the Czech Republic, or great hockey players, and I think they can come out, like, they can try American football. Like, it's something you can do later if you have the athletic ability to do it and like the desire. So I think that's an advantage. And now there's opportunities, and this is like a whole nother detail. There's a pipeline where guys can go maybe play for the Prague Lions or play in these programs, and then you can go to university in the United States and get a scholarship and play in the United States. So that's an added advantage. That's a huge bonus. So I think that's so there's more opportunities. So I think that's only going to be attractive for Czechs, and in my thing. So, and it's the ultimate team sport. It's like I said, it goes back to, like, there's nothing like it. Like, my best friends in the world are people I played football with, whether it's high school football, in college football at Stanford, or in the NFL. Those are my best friends, because everyone who plays football, there's a camaraderie about it that you just cannot explain, and it's the ultimate team sport.
Yes, yeah. We already have an example like this, because Matyáš Bílý from the Prague Lions is now in the Minot State University in D2.
So and exactly, and I saw that too. I just learned about that as well, and I think that's a tremendous opportunity. I hope more Czechs can see that, and that's like, or at least give it, if you go play. And I don't know how the rules are, because there's a lot changing now too with university, with the NC2A in the United States, with eligibility and professionalism, but it's for people can play. You can play in this league now. You can play for the Prague Lions potentially, and then you can go to university. You can go get a free education in the United States, get that experience, and also play football. Yep. So I think that's really, really neat. And I know, like, there's a lot of resources there. And if guys are good enough, I know there'll be opportunities I know the NFL Academy is here in Europe, and they're doing a lot of things. So I know college coaches are actively recruiting. So I'll tell you what, like, football too, it's the ultimate, like, meritocracy. So if you're good enough, you'll have an opportunity. I promise you. And if there's good players in the Czech Republic, I promise you, like Mason with the Prague Lions are going to find them. They're going to get them. And people want to go to the United States, you can reach out, like, talk to me, like, talk to the people at the Prague Lions, like, talk to some. There'll be opportunities for people. So I think that's I think there's more opportunities now than ever in American football. And then now, with the way rules are changing, I think the pipeline to university in the United States is pretty attractive if people want to do that. So I think that's probably it's going to change and evolve, and that's some of the details I don't know yet, but I think it's changing a lot in the United States. So who knows?
Yeah, you talk about the brotherhood about in football in US, and it's also in Czech Republic, I believe. Do you think that it's kind of unique for our sport? Because I don't know if any sports have this brotherhood and friendship and so on.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Like, I grew up playing basketball, and I did track and field and football my whole life. But obviously football is the ultimate team sport, I think, no matter what, because there's 11 guys on the field on one side, and if 10 guys do their job, one guy doesn't, the whole play's ruined sometimes. So and then I just think the physical, sometimes you see the brotherhood in like sports like rugby, and I think some of it stems from, like, the physicality of it and, like, the intensity of it, because football's tough. Like, it's not like, if you put on, like, there's a level of respect. Like, when I went to the game with the Prague Lions and the Frankfurt Galaxy, like, those guys put the pads on, like, you have my respect. Like, it's not easy. It's like, when you hit people, doesn't always feel good. It takes a certain mentality. I know people who kind of went and played football for a couple days, and they're like, it's not for me, and then they leave. So I think that intensity, that toughness, the team, it creates a team camaraderie. I think that's what makes it really, really special. So I think there's a brotherhood with football that's not, like, a lot of other sports you can kind of just go to the park and play. Football, you can't do that. So that's, like, the unique thing. It's the bad thing about it and the good thing about it, but it's not. It's the unique thing about it.
Yeah, I believe that it's a kind of bad thing and good thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's the give and take of it. So
you were drafted in 2005 by Kansas City Chiefs in the 6th round as a 187th overall pick. How do you feel about it now, and what kind of memories you have for this moment?
Yeah, it was kind of a surreal moment. It's like I said, to be, to get an opportunity to play in the National Football League and be drafted and, hear your name. I always think back to it, and it was just like, it was a long process because it was stuff that basically when I started playing sports at 8-10 years old. It started from that point, and it was a lot of work, and it wasn't just the work I did in football, but it was also the work I did in other sports, and so it was a surreal moment. But the moment you go there, you kind of have to work and prove yourself. So that was just the first step. But to get drafted, it's something I'll always have. I'll always have, to look back on, and it's I don't know. Was there any Czechs ever drafted? I have not. I think there was like a Czech kicker from like 40 years ago, 50 years ago. I don't know if he was drafted, or it was different then. They had like 20 rounds or whatnot. So I think it's always important. Like, I'm a Czech guy here. I was born here. My family's from here. So it's like I think it was a prideful thing too, coming back to the Czech Republic and be like, hey, I'm a Czech just like everybody else. Like I made it. I got drafted by the NFL, and I did it. I made it. So it's a prideful thing. There's a lot of hockey players here, yes. So it's good. We need some football players. We need NFL guys. So it's good. I take pride in that. So
yeah, that's nice. The offensive line, the play as an offensive lineman is tough, I believe. And play as an offensive lineman in the NFL is super tough. So, what was your physical and mental daily grind of playing tackle at the highest level? And what's your memories about earning your spot in the first league?
Yeah, I think it's like everything was very. One of my coaches always said, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. I'll never forget it. Like the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And it was always about like just being like technically sound, working hard, like just being disciplined, like knowing all your assignments. Because that league it's like I said, the NFL, it's a cut, and which probably it's the same with, I'm sure like soccer leagues and hockey leagues and whatnot. It's really competitive. If you don't do your job, you're gone, and they'll bring the next guy in. So they're always trying to replace you, and so you always have to prove your worth. And you're if I'm playing offensive line, I'm blocking the defensive end, and his job is to basically get by me and kill me and get to my quarterback, and that's he makes a living out of that, and he feeds his family doing that. So it's a competitive ultra grind. But yeah, I think it was just, like I said, a lot of it stems back. I try to be professional. They always say, when you get to the NFL, like be a pro. And this essentially means like it's a game, but it's your job. And it's like you show up to work early, you do the extra things you need to do. At that level, only certain people can like get by with pure athleticism, and everyone there is talented. So it's like you have to do something else. You have to have some kind of edge. So you have to have like that kind of it factor to be successful and to make it into like the professional leagues. Like I think it's the same thing with like soccer in Europe. Like everyone's like good. It's just the elite players have the it.
Yes.
And so I think that's important. Like if you look at like the National Football League, like some of these great wide receivers, they fall out of the NFL quickly, and like, so they're just crazy. But like Tom Brady, he had the it factor. Peyton Manning, he had the it factor. Some of these guys, just the elite, they have it. There's something different about them. And so I always just try to do that little extra, try to be disciplined, try to do my job. I wanted my coaches to trust me, because like that was always important. And I try to be technically sound, because at the end of the day, as an offensive lineman, a lot of it's technique, and you have to have your assignments right. As an offensive tackle, I have to communicate with my guard and communicate with the center. And because if you're not, you have to know who to block, and there's different blitzes, and there's a lot of X's and O's. And so I never wanted, if something bad happened, I wanted it to be out of my control, not something that I was just like, I let just kind of go by me. So it was always important to kind of cover all my bases, work hard, and I guess stems back to that. I think I joke about it, but it's always goes back to that communist mentality upbringing, right? Like just don't take things for granted, work hard, be disciplined, be grateful for what you have, and like work for everything.
Yeah, I read one quote. I believe that one of the Harbaugh brothers told one reporter that the offensive lineman is the only position in team sports that you are with back to ball, and also the most important position.
Yeah, we joke about it because I'm basically going, like, if I'm pass blocking, I'm doing a kick set. I'm going backwards, and the defensive end is going forward, and he's one of the best athletes on the field, and like it doesn't make sense. So you think about it that way, just from like a physics standpoint, like so that goes back to like why it's so important to be. It's all about like technique, understanding your assignments, understanding your angles, understanding where there's just so many details that people. It's hard when you're just watching on TV, you don't realize, but every play I have to know, okay, is this a 3-step drop? Is this a 5-step drop? Is this a 7-step drop? Where's the quarterback? Because that differs where the quarterback's going to be. Do I have a turn protection? Are we blocking out to is it the guard coming with me, which means I have help inside? There's little aspects, and you have to use everything to your advantage, and that I really try to be, okay, if it's a 7-step drop, the quarterback's going to be about 10 yards deep, which really matters because I can't run the guy by around the quarterback because he'll sack it. But if it's a 3-step drop or a 5-step drop, I can run the defensive end. I can set a little bit tighter, protect my inside. The defensive end won't go inside of me, but I can always run him by because I know the quarterback will be at 7 steps. At 9 steps, you can't do. At a 7-step drop, when he's at 9 yards, 10 yards, you can't do that. So that's something like with Tom Brady, he was really good. His pocket presence was really, really good. And if you watched where he was in the pocket, he was very disciplined about that. And guys were like very, very good about kind of knowing your angles and where you can run the quarterback by. And that's important. Sometimes like quarterbacks, a lot of times you watch in the NFL a lot, and it drives me crazy as an offensive lineman. A lot of sacks happen, and it's not always the offensive line's fault, right? A lot of times maybe the quarterback drifts wrong somewhere and he kind of goes into the defensive end, or a receiver runs the wrong route and the ball has to be held for an extra second, or someone misses an assignment or whatnot. But a lot of it goes back to the whole team aspect, right? Like I can give up a sack, it could be completely my fault, I can get beat, or it could be something completely wrong that the quarterback drifted somewhere or whatnot. There's a lot of aspects to it.
Yes. During your career, you went up against some of the most elite pass rusher of the game. What was your personal preparation for the Sundays?
Yeah, I just try to, I think preparation always gave me confidence. So that I just try to be as prepared as possible and have as much confidence going into the game as possible. So a lot of it's just knowing all my signs, like the things that you can control, the simple stuff. Like you should know all your assignments, know all the plays, know what, if this happens, we're going to change this. If this happens, we're going to change it. So do those things repetitively. I would do a lot of mental reps and just kind of being technically sound. Get your body physically ready. I'd always do everything I would have to do in the weight room, in practice with my technique, in terms of rest. I was, pretty diligent about that with my rehab, with my prehab. I would try to give myself every advantage I could, because most guys aren't, and I wasn't good enough to be out there at 95%. If I was going to be out there, I had to be 100% of Will Svitek. I could not have been 98% or 90. I had to give myself every advantage I could have. And at that level, that's the same with everything. So I just try to control what I could control, because especially when you're playing like tackle, like, guys, every week I'm playing, it's the guys I had to block. It's guys are in the Hall of Fame now. It's absurd. So it's some freak athletes. Yeah.
And can you remember which player was the worst nightmare?
They're all good. Like I remember I think one of my first guys I played against was there were a lot of guys were like Julius Peppers when he was with the Panthers. I remember it was like one of my first starts actually in Atlanta was against him. Julius Peppers, Dwight Freeney when he was with the Colts. Like just everyone knows Dwight Freeney's spin move.
Yeah.
It's like Jared Allen, who's got inducted to the Hall of Fame, played against, Albert Hainsworth sometimes would line up outside. It's just J.J. Watt, like obviously a great player. Like there's just all these, like Trent Cole was a great player. The guys for the Giants, like OC, Tuck, like all these guys. They're all so good. And unfortunately, when I was playing, I had to play against some like really, really good players and great challenge. And these guys were elite, and so I had to use everything to my advantage to like just stop them, or at least block them for as long as I could have, because you can't block them forever, but if the quarterback usually that has a timing and the ball's out at a certain point, so you try to block them for 2.3 seconds or however long you need to, and you just try to be dependable with your teammates and whatnot.
What is in your mind when the JJ Watt goes against you?
Oh, he's just like a constant motor too. What the unique thing about JJ Watt is some guys are just like really, really athletic and just tremendous. Like they're just so athletic, but sometimes they might take a play off or they might relax a little bit. And we would joke about those type of guys. It was always like those guys were super athletes, but maybe on second down or first down, they would play it a little bit easier. They wouldn't try, because most defensive ends, when it's third down or third and long, they care about sacks. That's how they get paid. They want to get to the quarterback. That's what shows up on like the highlights. So they all want to get sacks. So when it's third and long or third down, they're trying, they're hard. But like first, second down, sometimes it's a run play or they're not. So those guys, like, you don't want to poke the bear. We always joke about it. Don't poke the bear. I think there was like a Czech term I heard a Czech term for it, but like, just keep them happy, keep them at bay. But like guys like JJ Watt, like he's 100 miles per hour every play, and he's got athletically as good as anybody too. So that's what made him so special. Was just like didn't matter if you poked the bear, like he's 110 miles per hour. So it's I had some time with him, but yeah, they're all good. It's tough.
Yeah, I believe that in Czech language, don't poke the bear. We say nedráždi hada bosou nohou. It's like don't play with snake with your feet. So you play for multiple organizations through your career, which means constantly adapting to new locker room, new players, new coaches. How difficult is to transition between several teams?
There's definitely a transition. I think, well, my first 8 years in the NFL was basically with 2 teams. So and usually it's kind of what happens towards the end of your career. You get older, you start to, you sign shorter contracts and you kind of bounce around a little more. It was just kind of it's always more difficult because you go to a new city, you have to learn a new playbook, new teammates, you have to earn your respect of your teammates. It's but it's what you sign up for. You're professional. It's your job. You have to do it. Going to Kansas City, but then all different times. When I got drafted by Kansas City, was Dick Vermeil, Hall of Fame coach as well. So it was a veteran team. Dick Vermeil was kind of an old school coach, and so he liked older players. So when I got there, I was like, everyone was, for an NFL team, was really old, and I was young, so it was a great experience just to be around like these. A lot of the offensive linemen were like Hall of Famers, Willie Rofe, Will Shields, to play with some of these guys. Brian Waters, great player. Trent Green was our quarterback. So I was like, wow, this is like Dante Hall he was kind of an NFL Europe guy. He was a returner. So that was interesting. And then Herm Edwards came in. Then I went to Atlanta with Mike Smith. I was there 4 years, and then went to New England with the Patriots, with obviously Belichick and Brady, which was special. And then my last year was in Cincinnati and in Tennessee. So it was all different coaches, different times in my career, like early career, mid stage, late stage, and so all different experiences. But I'm really grateful for it, and obviously like playing for Belichick. People always ask about like Belichick and Brady, and that was you learn a lot from those guys.
Yeah. I'm Patriots fan, so
Yeah, okay.
I would like. Yeah. I need to ask how it's to play with Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's funny because either I didn't realize until I signed with the Patriots, I didn't realize people either like hate the Patriots or they love the Patriots. Yeah. There's no in between. Like I didn't realize people are like, oh, I hate.
I think it's the same in the Czech Republic.
It is. Yeah, I could. It's like it's Are you still a Patriots fan?
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually really, and there's always like people always have like mixed emotion. I actually had a lot of respect for Bill Belichick. Really liked him. And from what I hear, like guys, I think everyone has like really positive things to say about. Some people say the Patriot way, and it was a really hard, cutthroat. I think he was fair. I think Belichick was really fair. He worked guys really hard. You kind of had to be that kind of mentality. Belichick came from a kind of like, his dad coached in like at the Naval Academy. So he kind of had that mindset. But yeah, the Patriots, it was just, I think if you're kind of a no nonsense, tough kind of mentality, I think the Patriots are a great place to be. I think I think Belichick treats people fairly. He works you hard, but he's honest, which I actually appreciate it too. I want someone to tell me how it is. And honestly, he was the best communicator, which is surprising because you see him in the media. He just like has like 3 words like we're on in Cincinnati or like it's just we're gonna play well, we're gonna do this, and we just need to run the ball well. But in terms of with the team, best communicator of a head coach I ever played for. He was just very concise, very deliberate. He's like, if we're gonna play this game, we need to win this game. We got to do X, Y, and Z. Very, very clear. And then playing with Brady was awesome. Worked really, really hard. I think it's one thing you don't want to let down your teammates. I think that's really important. And that makes you rise your level up because it's one thing if your coach yells at you, but it's another thing if like your teammate yells at you or you let him down, or if I'm blocking and I get Brady hit, like I don't feel good about that. And you just see his mentality. I know, like the first week I was there, we were doing I'll never forget this. Like when you go there, you sign in like March, April. We go do the first month, you're just like lifting and running and you're doing off-season workouts. But then we did like a walkthrough. We're just going through plays like in like shorts and a t-shirt on the grass field. And I was only there for a week, so I didn't know any of the plays yet. We haven't gone through it yet. And we go in there and okay, they're like, coach says, oh, Will, go in at right tackle. I think Sebastian Vollmer was our right tackle at that point, but he was getting surgery. He had surgery, so he wasn't there or something. And so I was my first week, didn't really know anything, but it was just like, don't worry, it's just a walkthrough. And then just like the mentality, like, and I've never like just Brady, like this, there was like a switch, and it was just like, you could have thought it was like the Super Bowl. It was just like the intensity of it. And I'm like, what's this play? Like, what's going on? What's this like? Because all the plays were pretty consistent, but the terminology is different. So he's like saying new terminology. I really don't know what's going on. And I thought it was gonna be a relaxed thing, but it was just like the intensity just like ramped up. Even for a walkthrough in the middle of March or May or in the middle of April, even for a walkthrough, he was so intense. It almost treated like it was like the Super Bowl. But it's like when you're like that every single day, it carries over because the margins in football are so small, right? Like it's literally the matter of one play can be the difference of going to the Super Bowl, not going to the Super Bowl, winning a game. The margins are so small. So, but when you have that mentality, like it was like the switch was made and he was intense, and it's like, okay. So it made me like, hey, I gotta, even though we haven't gone over the place, I gotta figure out, I gotta know it, and it kind of it raises your expectation, your preparation, and it does that for everybody. And so I think that was one of the big reasons why they've been so successful. And it's just because it's like when you have a guy like that always preparing and just like so disciplined, it raises the bar for everybody. And then obviously like the two of them, like with Belichick and Brady. But it's just he was a great teammate. I have a lot of respect for Brady and enjoy playing for him.
When you look at today's matches in the NFL and in the Europe, how has the game in trenches evolved since you play? And do you see any kind of evolution in football generally?
Yeah, I think the game has definitely evolved. It's changed a little bit, and I think you're seeing sometimes with the evolution of the quarterback. Also too with the rules in terms of like how much you can practice and I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but it was more. Now it's more of like, I would say like the NFL is more of a passing league now, and a lot of it's more. They're treating the passing game as part of like the running game. So you're seeing a lot of these like dink and dunks or like a lot of the zone reads and the options. So some of these short passes, they're almost like runs. And no longer are you seeing the traditional gap scheme, power. You still have it and you still need to do it to win games. Like you see some of the great teams, and especially as the weather gets a little colder, to really win. And like, because if you can run power, if you can run physical, if you can run the ball physically, like that carries over into like on the road, at home games, in bad weather and good weather. The problem is sometimes if you're so reliant on the passing game, you better have good conditions. If not, so. But the game has definitely evolved into more of a it's spread out a little more. Like quarterback is less under center; they're more in shotgun, and it's the more the zone reads. And I almost feel like. You used to like some people think it's like a trickle down. It's actually like a trickle up. Basically we call it like pee wee football in the United States, but like in football in like middle school, and like so like when guys are playing football in like 12 when they're 12 years old, 10 years old, 14 years old, they're taught. The quarterbacks are taught how to play like in shotgun and doing these zone reads. They're not taught to play under center. And so the problem is then they go to high school and that's their skill set. Then they go to college. So you kind of have to adapt. So it's actually going, so you're seeing stuff they're doing in the NFL, like, or in college, this is like kind of stuff they were doing earlier on. So it's a less of an emphasis on the running game. It's more of an emphasis on kind of the zone scheme, more of a passing game, more of like, throwing the ball as a step from the running game. And I think it's partially because you can't practice the running game. You can't wear pads all the time. So
yeah, as a player during your career, do you prefer run play or pass play?
I love run play. Yeah. Run. I think every offensive lineman, because like I think running the ball. I think every offensive lineman, I would say 95, actually probably 99% of offensive linemen love running the ball. So it's just more fun. Like it goes, it's more of an aggressive mentality, right? Pass blocking is like it's more of like a passive thing. It's like, okay, I'm setting vertical, I'm going backwards, this guy's going forward. Sorry. And so it's kind of and then your pass block, okay, like I didn't get my quarterback. My quarterback had time to throw the ball. We're running, run blocking. It's more of that physical mentality. So definitely like running the ball.
Nice, thank you. Do you have any message to all young Czech kids and athletes currently putting on pads at the local clubs and working hard every day and dreaming of making it big in football?
Yeah, I think go pursue it. I think it's really important. I think now, I think they're in a good position right now. I think there's more opportunity in American football than there's ever been in Europe and in the Czech Republic and in Prague. So I think if guys really love American football, I think now with like you just see like there's flag football too. There's other opportunities, and so I think now people can play flag football. Then they can start playing tackle football. So you can kind of start with flag football. You can start with then do American football. But I think there's more opportunities now. You see it. You can go play for the Prague Lions. Then that can parlay you into an opportunity for a free education in the United States, and you can keep playing football or whatnot. Or now the NFL. The NFL is making a cognizant effort into having practice squad players. Like they designate certain practice squad players to help develop guys. So and then there's the academies here, and the NFL Academy has it. So. And then with these, like with the Prague Lions, so with the evolution of these leagues, like there's really good quality football. And I promise you, if you're talented and you're good enough, like you will get discovered, you will have an opportunity. I promise you that. So I think and honestly, I would say like also again, the beauty of football is like even if you're older, you can start playing. Like if you're 17 years old, you never played football, maybe you can go play. Or you're 18 years old, 19, and you grew up playing soccer or you grew up playing hockey or basketball, you could probably be a great football player. Like you see it all the time. So it's one of those sports that you can start playing later. You can't be just sitting on your couch drinking Pivo all the time and drinking beer. But if you're playing sports all the time, you're active and you have the mentality, you can start playing football later. So I think there's opportunities. Like I say, like through the Prague Lions, through what you guys are doing, through like the Czech Federation. I know they're doing a lot. I'm constantly shocked with what I'm seeing with American football. I started following like all this stuff on Instagram. I'm like, I didn't even know this existed. I started like following it. And I'm like, there's a big following. And I was telling my family, I'm like, no, this is going on. And like, we go to the Prague Lions, and I'm like, this is like real football. This is going on. And like, I was shocked even with like the Czech Federation, all these cities and stuff like that. So I think there's opportunities. I think there's opportunities for people to play others. Like you can do hockey or try to play football or do something like that. And so I think there's resources out there, and if you love it, like go for it and like reach out. Like there's resources out there. So
we already talked about it, but you told me that you can understand the Czech language. You also know some words.
Yeah, I know some. Yeah, I can basically understand it fluently because my parents spoke it growing up in the house. Like a lot of like the Czech, so I know like the basic Czech stuff, but I always like joke like it's always like Yahtzee Yidlo, like I want food, like stuff like stuff like that. Like I was like joking with my mom, or like I think my mom would say like "Få fram the postele," like all the time growing up. She's like "Få fram the postele," like telling me to hurry up and go to sleep. So things like that. I know it's confusing. It's funny because yeah, I understand it because I grew up listening to it. I'm starting to like now take some like Czech lessons. So hopefully next year when I'm back, I can speak. I have the ear, but I confuse people because I'll walk into like a restaurant or I'll walk in somewhere and they'll speak Czech to me, not knowing, and then I answer back in English, like, oh, this is some American, and then they'll say something, and then I'll hear people talk about me. And they'll be, or if I'm doing something with customer service, it might be good or bad. So it's kind of sometimes I try to play ignorant and pretend like so sometimes you can like I'll be somewhere and they'll be like talking and they'll be like customer service stuff and I'll hear what they're saying, and so it's that's kind of funny. But yeah,
So next time we'll do the interview in Czech language.
I don't know about that. I'm still a little embarrassed about it. But if you say stuff in Czech, like if you told me a sentence, tell me a sentence right now, and I can translate it. I'll put myself on the spot.
Proč je fotbal nejlepší sport na světě?
Okay, why is football the best sport in the world? Yeah. So I think it's the ultimate team sport. I think like I said, it's something that people just you can't just play. You can't just go to the park and play it, whether it's good or bad. It takes a special person to do it, special mentality, and it encompasses everything, and it's the experience, and so there's nothing like it. So hopefully more Czechs are watching football, and you guys are promoting it, and you guys are doing a great job promoting it, and people watch, with the Prague Lions and with the Czech Federation, and I think we can kind of continue to grow it.
Thank you. And last questions, every guest must answer for me because I love the phrase "any given Sunday." So, what is in your mind when I can say "any given Sunday"?
Really, it's just like anything can happen, right? It's any given Sunday. It's true, and it's kind of what makes. That's kind of what makes football the best sport in the world, right? Because that's what makes sports so beautiful, right? Because it's anything can happen, right? You have to show up, and so you have to play well, and it's a demanding sport, and so it really is true. And you see in the NFL, which is what makes the NFL such a great league, is there's parity, and so literally anyone can. And it's such a competitive league. The margins are so small. Anyone can win. Everyone's a professional, and so it's really, really competitive and really, really difficult. But anyone can win. But I think it's, any given Sunday, anyone can win. And I think the great thing with the Prague Lions and the new league forming, like the parity in the league, I think it's really important. Is now they condensed the league as a smaller league. They're all competitive. The games are close. Any given Sunday, people can win. So I think that's important. And I think it's kind of like any given Sunday. It's even for life, right? Any given Sunday means like anything's possible, right? We're all able to achieve it, and it's like I was born in Prague in the Czech Republic under like a dark time, and my parents fled with the clothes on their back to come to the United States to achieve the American dream, and here I am back in Prague talking about football. So it's like that's like any given Sunday, right? Anything's possible, and so it's kind of like life goes full circle. So
yeah. So Wille, děkuji, že jsi našel čas.
Yes, děkuji.
A doufám, že moje angličtina nebyla úplně hrozná.
No, it was really good. It was moc dobrý.
Yeah. Ještě jednou díky, že jsi tady se mnou povídal.
No, děkuji. Thank you.
A vám všem moc děkuju za to, že jste dokoukali a doposlouchali až sem. Mějte se krásně a brzo nám začíná sezóna NFL, takže máme se na co těšit a určitě zůstaňte věrní tomu nejlepšímu sportu na světě.